This video is about Unit 4. Let's start. The theme of Unit 4 is family and friends, and the first story is written by Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond, as we know, is an Indian author of British descent, and he lives with his adopted family in Andover, Missouri. He has been awarded many awards, including Sahitya Academy Awards, Padma Shri and Padma Bhushan, and his work is mostly influenced by his life on the foothills of Himalayas, where he spent his childhood. His first novel was The Room on the Roof was written by him when he was just 17, and it was published when he was 21. And it was partly based on his experiences at Dehradun, where he lived in a small rental room with his friends. I've already told you the theme of Unit 4 is family and friends. So this story is once again based in the home of his maternal grandparents, and grandma is one of the most important characters in the story, along with Uncle Ken, who shares the title Life with Uncle Ken. Yes, now the technique here is the same. He paints a brilliant picture with words. See, the start as kitchen went, it wasn't all that big. It wasn't as big as the bedroom or the living room, but it was big enough. And there was a pantry next to it. See the way he's describing. So he describes the kitchen. Why? Because it is one of the most famous places for Ruskin in the house, because he is a self-proclaimed foodie. Right? And he says that all the good things to eat, like cakes and curries and chocolate fuzz and peanut toffee jellies and jam tarts, all these things were made in the kitchen. It was not very big like the bedroom and living room, but it was big enough, and there was a pantry and all the fabulous things came out of it. And he says, as far as I was concerned, Granny was the best cook. For him, his granny was the best cook in the whole world. And 2 generations of clerks had lived in India. And he says that his maternal grandmother had settled in a small town in the foothills, just where the Great Plain ended and the Himalayas begin. And the town, Dehradun, we are familiar with it, right? Then he says that it is much bigger and busier now. Granny, he says, had a house that was a large rambling bungalow on the outskirts of the town on the old survey road. And in the grounds, there were many trees, and most of them were fruit trees like mango, lychees, guavas, bananas, papayas, lemons, etc. There were rooms for all of them, and they included a giant jackfruit tree casting its shadow on the walls of the house. So he says the garden was big enough to have room for all these big trees. Okay, and it was a good house to live in, especially for a 9-year-old with a tremendous appetite. Now you see the focus. Granny is the best cook and he has got a tremendous appetite. Yes, and that is why he thinks that Granny was the best cook, because he was a foodie. And he says that Granny was the best. If Granny was the best cook, then I was the boy with the best appetite. So it was a brilliant combination. And whenever he came from boarding school, he would spend about a month with Granny, because before he would go to spend the rest of the holidays with his mother and stepfather. He had lost his father, and Granny was glad to have him, because she lived almost all the time. She used to live alone. Not entirely alone. There was a gardener, Dukhi, who lived in the outhouse. He had a son called Mohan, then who was of the same age as Ruskin, Dukhi's son, was as old as Ruskin, and there was an Aya, an elderly helper who lived and helped with the household work, and there was a Stammy's cat with bright blue eyes and a Mongol dog called Crazy. Why he was called Crazy? Because he used to run circles around the house. You know, without any reason he used to run in circles. That is why he was named Crazy. And there was Uncle Ken, Granny's nephew, who came to stay whenever he was out of job, and Ruskin mentions that it was quite often that he was there and without a job. So whenever he felt like enjoying some of Granny's cooking, he used to come too, not only when he was out of job. Granny wasn't really alone, mentions Ruskin, because all these people were there. Now all the same, she was glad to have me, he says. Now she didn't enjoy cooking for herself, she said, so she had to cook for someone, so she enjoyed company. And although the cat and dog sometimes, Uncle Ken also appreciated her efforts. A good cook likes to have a boy to feed because boys are adventurous. What does he mean? He means that the elders, they do not like to experiment with food, but children, they love to experiment with food and are ready to try the most unusual dishes. Now whenever Granny tried a new recipe on him, she used to wait for the comments and reactions of Ruskin and make a note in her exercise book. And these notes were useful when she made the dish again and tried it on others. So she would improvise on the comments and the reactions. Yes, that is why whenever she tried a new recipe on Ruskin, she would wait for his comments and reactions and note them down. Now roast duck. This was Granny's specials. First time when he had roast duck at Granny's house, Uncle Ken was there too. He had just lost a job at as a railway guard and had come to stay with Granny until he could find another job. He always stayed as long as he could, only moving out when Granny offered to get him a job as an assistant master at Padres Lal Academy for small boys. So he used to come and stay and used to leave when Granny offered him to take a job at this local school. Why he used to refuse? Because he couldn't stand small boys. They made him nervous. And that is why he was nervous of Ruskin as well. But Granny was always there to protect him. At Padre Las, there were 100 small boys who would protect him there, so he didn't wish to take. So he used to leave whenever Granny mentioned that you can take a job there. Although Uncle Ken had a tremendous appetite and ate just as much as Ruskin did, he never praised Granny's dishes. So now this is a grudge that little Ruskin is holding against Uncle Ken, that because he is not praising his Granny. And according to Ruskin, Granny was the best cook in the world. She should be praised, right? When somebody is so passionate about cooking, doing so much, then you should be praising him. But Uncle Ken, he never used to praise. And Ruskin says, that is why I think that I used to enjoy annoying him at times and making him feel nervous. Uncle Ken looked down at the roast duck when it was served, and his glass was slipping down the edge of his nose. Look at how the words, they create an image. Yes? Duck again, Aunt Ellen, he mentioned. What do you mean duck again? You haven't had duck since you were here last month. That's what I mean, said Uncle Ken. Somehow, one expects some variety from you, Aunt. All the same, he took 2 large helpings and ate most of the stuffing before I could get at it. Now he's criticizing that why are you making the roast duck again, and then he took 2 large helpings and ate most of the stuffing. He's criticizing and saying that one expects more variety from you, Aunt, and then he took 2 large helpings with all the stuffings. And Ruskin couldn't get it, so what he did, he took revenge by emptying all applesauce into his plate. And Uncle Ken knew that Ruskin loved stuffing, and Ruskin knew that he was crazy about Granny's applesauce. So both of them took the revenge and were even. Ruskin says, are you joining your parents? He asked hopefully. Over the jam tart. I may not go this year, I said. When are you getting another job, Uncle? So here you see they both are taking jabs at each other. They both are asking, when are you leaving, to each other. Oh, I'm thinking of taking a break for a couple of months, said Uncle. I enjoyed helping Granny and Aya with the washing up. While we were at work, Uncle Ken would take a siesta on the veranda, switch on the radio to listen to dance music. See, Ruskin is helping. Uncle is not. Glenn Miller and his swing band was all the rage then, Ruskin says. And what is Uncle doing after eating? He's taking a siesta on the veranda while listening to music. And how do you like your Uncle Ken? Granny asked one day as she emptied the bones from his plate into the dog's bowl. I wish he was someone else's uncle, Ruskin said. He's not really bad, just eccentric. What's eccentric? Ruskin asked. Oh, just a little crazy. At least crazy runs around the house, I said. I have never seen Uncle Ken running. Now you see here, which crazy is he mentioning? Yes, Crazy was the dog's name, and he used to run around the house. So Ruskin is making a comment that at least Crazy runs around the house. If he's crazy, he never runs. He just eats and takes a siesta. Yes. So this is his story, Life with Uncle Ken. Now this is a part from a bigger story that he wrote. And you see, children, not all family members, extended or immediate, are our favorite when we live with them. We have little bricking and funny banter with them all the time, but we love them. If he didn't love his uncle, he wouldn't have mentioned him in his story, would he? Yes. So there are many times when we meet our extended families, we have this funny tempo going on where people are taking a jab at each other. Doesn't mean we don't love them and they are not important for us. Yes. So a family doesn't guarantee that you will completely go along and will be completely alike. No two individuals are alike. So as you find your friends are different from you, your family members are also going to differ in behavior and the way they carry themselves or the way they look, they act. Everything is going to be different. That diversity makes family and friends interesting. Yes, right? So this was a story about Uncle Ken of Ruskin, right? Now the next chapter will be lesson 4B, the festival of Eid. So we will meet with the next video. Till then, we will keep meeting in class. Bye bye.